Trustee Day, will you please convene the Committee on Audit?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need to vote. Sorry.
Chair,
If I could recommend a cleanup, Chair Steinhauser, if you could just, for clarity, we pulled an item and then we kind of voted on one item. So if you could just ask the committee members on collective bargaining if there's any objection to approval of the entire consent agenda, that would clean this up.
Thank you, Adam. So committee members, are there any objections to approving the item that's we're voting on now?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, hearing none, the item is approved. Chair Campbell, this concludes our committee.
All right, thank you. All right, Trustee Day, will you please convene the Committee on Audit?
Madam Chair, I'm not sure that Trustee Day is able to be on this in this meeting right now. He asked me as Vice Chair to.
All right, please. Okay, go ahead, Trustee Carney.
All right, thank you. Will the Committee on Audit please come to order? We have 2 items on the consent agenda. Does any committee member want to remove either of these items? Rami?
I'm not a committee member, but I would like to make a quick comment without removing it. Is that possible?
I don't think so. I think we need to remove it. I will remove it for you so that you can make the comment. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to compliment our Chief Audit Officer and his team for including the attachment A, which includes the audit plan topics. And this has given me a great insight of the scope and depth of what the division is doing. And I really, really appreciate that this was included. And I just wanted to express my thanks and my compliments.
Thank you, Rami. I see no other hands raised for discussion. Could we have a motion to approve both items on the consent agenda?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second. Any objection to approving the consent items?
No objection.
Thank you. Hearing none, the consent items are approved. We have one action item before the committee, which is also a discussion item. It is the fiscal year 2021-2022 audit plan. This item will be presented by Vlad Marinescu, the Vice Chancellor and Chief Audit Officer. Vlad, would you please begin?
Thank you, Trustee Carney. Item 3 in your agenda includes the fiscal year 2021-2022 audit plan. The California Education Code provides for the establishment of an internal auditing function, reporting directly to the trustees of the California State University. Audit and advisory services assist university management and the trustees in the effective discharge of their fiduciary and administrative responsibilities by bringing a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of risk management, control, and governance processes. In accordance with the Audit Committee Charter, each year, Audit and Advisory Services presents its audit plan to the Board of Trustees Committee on Audit for review and approval. In order to provide for a comprehensive risk-based audit plan that addresses both system-wide risks and individual campus-specific risks, the Audit and Advisory Services leadership team engages in an annual audit planning process. The fiscal year 2021-2022 audit plan, which I will refer to as the 2021 plan going forward, consists of 5 primary functional areas: assurance audits and data analytics, advisory services, investigations and intergovernmental audits, outreach and engagement, and audit support. As we proceed, I will touch on each of these areas. The first phase of the annual audit planning process starts with updating the system-wide audit universe to include all relevant auditable topics. Each of the over 80 auditable topics is then assessed based on both qualitative and quantitative factors, including input from meetings with system-wide executive management, CSU strategic initiatives, current trends and hot topics in higher education, and unit budgets. A few examples of auditable topics include procurement, student health services, and auxiliary organizations. Based on this review, the top 20 risk-ranked auditable topics are identified and shared with campus audit representatives who provide feedback and input. Our collaboration with campus partners is an important component of the process that we strive to emphasize and expand on this year to help ensure that our risk assessment yields the most relevant, accurate, and impactful results. We categorize the auditable topics into 5 key audit types: financial, compliance, operational, strategic, and information technology, to ensure a diversity of audit coverage and a mix of audit types. The top 20 auditable topics are then flowed down to form the basis of each individual campus audit universe, each of which is customized with campus-specific risk topics, as well as campus auxiliary organizations. Each campus's specific topics of risk are identified through discussions with campus and auxiliary management throughout the year, input from campus audit liaisons, and audit and advisory services management knowledge and experience in working with the campus. Once the campus universe is set, the risk of each campus audit topic is determined based on a set of defined risk factors, including significant changes to the organization, the complexity of information systems, or prior audit results. The preliminary campus audit plan is presented to campus management and may be adjusted at that time if needed. Throughout the audit plan year, we continuously reassess the audit plan and adjust it as needed. We consider whether any new and compelling risks have emerged. COVID-19 serves as a very good example of a risk that emerged and compelled mid-year adjustments to the audit plan last year. The 2021 audit plan is divided into 3 distinct segments of review. The foundation of our plan is focused on the core support areas of finance administration, information technology, and compliance, human resources, and risk management. These are common areas you would typically find in an audit plan at any organization. The second segment of our plan is focused on academic administration, student activities and services, and university relations and advancement. These areas are unique to higher education and are routinely reviewed by college and university audit organizations. The final segment of our plan focuses on auxiliary organizations. Auxiliary organizations of the CSU are nonprofit organizations and separate legal entities. They operate pursuant to a written operating agreement with the CSU Board of Trustees, have separate governing boards with close connections to a campus, and follow all legal and policy rules established by the CUC system and the respective campus administration. Due to this unique structure, our annual plan will always include an assessment and review of select auxiliary organizations. I want to note that although we have organized our audit topics for 2021 into organizational area categories, there is certainly quite a bit of overlap between categories for many of the reviews we plan to perform. A brief description of each planned audit topic is included in Attachment A in your board packet. While our audit plan is driven by the risk assessment process, our goal is to provide the appropriate breadth of coverage across the various areas of the organization. The assurance audits portion of the audit plan also includes data analytics and continuous auditing, which allows us to monitor and review large data sets for anomalies and trends with a high degree of automation. It also assists with the existing audit process. By using a continuous auditing approach, we can perform our control testing and monitoring on a more frequent or continuous basis, as opposed to a traditional audit approach in which we may review a particular area only once every 3 or 4 years. For example, our recurring review of credit card data identifies unnecessary and unused accounts, which has resulted in several accounts being closed and has reduced credit exposure risks for the CSU. A bit of history on the evolution of data analytics at the CSU. In 2017, after working with the audit committee and the chancellor to restructure and grow the division, a data analytics position consisting of 1 FTE was added. In 2018, we launched our first set of data analytics reviews at 12 campuses, looking for anomalies and trends using credit card data. In 2019, the credit card reviews were performed at the remaining 11 campuses and the chancellor's office. We also built revenue and expenditure dashboards to facilitate research into trends for audit planning purposes. In 2020, our organizational objective was to enhance the capacity, sophistication, and quality of the data analytics and continuous auditing programs. We accomplished this by restructuring our team and dedicating additional headcount. Our fiscal year 2021 data analytics audit plan consists of the following 4 main areas. From an administrative perspective, as we continue to expand our data sets, we are migrating our analytics environment to an Amazon Web Services cloud, which will enable us to scale our analytics database. Additional benefits to migrating to a cloud-based environment include improved performance, high availability, and security, which are all key components of any data analytics program. From a projects perspective, we will continue to build and refine our continuous audit reviews within our existing 4 core areas with the goal of fully automating our data analytics processes. Audit support will continue to integrate data analytics into the traditional audits being performed at campuses. This approach will enable us to select more relevant samples for review and provide insights into key risk areas that may need additional attention during the audit process. And last but not least, one of the benefits of analyzing large data sets is the ability to provide data insights that can be used by both our team as part of the audit and risk assessment process, and also by management to strengthen the analysis process and enhance decision-making. Advisory services was introduced as a new function in 2013 and continues to be well received within the system. Advisory services is an important component of the internal audit function, and well-executed and collaborative advisory projects have a demonstrated track record of improving relationships and adding significant value to the organization. For these consultative reviews, we partner with management to identify solutions for business issues, offer opportunities to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of operating areas, and assist with special requests while ensuring the consideration of related internal control issues. Although internal audit is predominantly an assurance function, and accordingly, assurance audit commitments are prioritized, our goal is to dedicate approximately 20% of our resources to advisory projects and services, which is consistent with the resource allocation of many peer organizations. We do have the flexibility to adjust our advisory resource levels based on the risk profile and circumstances for any given year. The third major component of the audit plan, constituting approximately 5% of total resources allocated, includes investigations and intergovernmental audits. The investigations unit is responsible for conducting investigations and providing support for campus-conducted investigations, managing processes and information related to the campus reporting of fiscal improprieties, and coordinating intergovernmental audits. Investigations are performed in response to campus requests that are endorsed by the Chancellor with the approval of the Chair of the Committee on Audit, or via referral of whistleblower complaints from the California State Auditor or the Chancellor's Office. Included in this workload allocation is support provided to campuses and the Chancellor's Office in coordinating intergovernmental audits. The Investigations Unit of Audit and Advisory Services acts as a liaison and representative for the CSU system throughout the audit process. For example, for audits of the CSU performed by the California State Auditor, we facilitate communication between the State Auditor, the Chancellor's Office, and any applicable campuses. Further, we work with appropriate Chancellor's Office and campus personnel to respond to auditor inquiries and prepare the formal response to the audit on behalf of the CSU. Once the state audit is complete, we continue to coordinate interdepartmental work groups to implement the audit recommendations and report back to the state auditor on the CSU's progress. Because the need for investigations fluctuates depending on when issues and allegations come to the attention of administrators, investigations resources are also deployed to perform advisory work targeted toward fraud risk and prevention as time allows. The last area of the audit plan I want to touch on is the area of outreach and engagement. Although our audit and advisory work naturally requires quite a bit of outreach and engagement, we want to ensure that we are partnering and working with our stakeholders beyond what would be the usual course of business for an audit or advisory review. This helps us ensure that we are not only meeting our assurance obligations to the board, but also adding real value to the organization and remaining relevant. We are planning to dedicate approximately 5% of our resources to outreach and engagement activities that go above and beyond the typical engagement we'd have as part of an audit or advisory review. This includes partnering activities such as participating in and leading affinity groups, providing support and guidance to campus and Chancellor's Office management, sharing information and common themes across campuses, and acknowledging feedback and insights provided by management. it is important to hear from our stakeholders on campus as to how we can add value. Our outreach and engagement activities also include educational activities, such as providing fraud prevention and awareness training for staff throughout the system, and providing students with work experience and exposure to the audit profession. In the past, Audit and Advisory Services has employed student assistants, and this coming year, we plan to provide student internship opportunities as well. The final slide shows the 2021 audit plan resource allocation relative to prior years. The audit plan allocation percentages are based on estimated available staff hours and are simply an illustration of how we plan to allocate our staff resources. I want to note that while we look to anticipate how we will allocate our staff resources for the year, it is also important to remain nimble and shift resources based on the needs that arise throughout the year. For instance, you may notice that we anticipate that the allocation percentages for investigations will decrease this coming year. However, if our office receives a higher than anticipated volume of requests for investigations, we are flexible and can quickly shift resources to meet the need and demand. You'll also notice that the percentage allocation for advisory services has increased year over year as we have developed and grown that area of our organization to meet management demand. I'd like to point out that the audit support allocation has decreased from prior years as we now categorize the risk assessment process as part of our assurance activity rather than as audit support. We also broke out outreach and engagement into its own category in order to track those resources and capture our intentionality to meet objectives in this area. Before I hand it back to you, Trustee Carney, I would like to first acknowledge the hard work of the entire Audit and Advisory Services staff on this year's audit plan. I would also like to thank our partners at the campuses and in the Chancellor's office for the contributions and feedback throughout the risk assessment and audit planning process. And with that, Trustee Carney, I conclude my presentation.
Thank you very much, Vlad, and thank you for your hard work in the audit area. Do we have any committee members or any board members who would like to ask any questions? Peter Taylor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Vlad, thank you for the report. So pleased to see your work on data analytics. I would just encourage you, because as you know, so much of the private sector has gone to heavy use of data analytics, and it's had the result of doubling or tripling the effectiveness of internal audit organizations. I would encourage you, in conversation with Steve Relier, with Chancellor Castro, when you see opportunities to make one-time investments in the effectiveness of our data analytics platform, to really advocate for that, because I would be willing to bet you any amount of money that whatever you spend on the upfront, you'll make back in terms of identifying efficiency opportunities in our operations. So I hope you won't be hesitant in conversations when advocating for your budget to ensure that those capabilities really are first rate. So thank you again.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Trustee.
Thank you. Trustee McGrory. Jack, you need to unmute.
Can't forget that. Vlad, that's a great report. Very clear, well organized, and easy to understand. 20% is going to go into advisory services of your resources. Then 80% is just normal audits. Of that 80%, how much is going towards audits of the auxiliary organizations as opposed to the main campus?
Roughly, and I'd have to look at the numbers, roughly around 15% of that will be, am I mute? 15% will be towards auxiliaries.
Okay, it seems to me we generally have more problems with the auxiliaries than we do with the main campus, and I just want to make sure we're doing an adequate job of auditing those organizations.
It's certainly on our radar.
Okay.
Thank you. Trustee Sebelius, did you have another comment or question?
Yeah, Trustee Carney, Chair Kimball, and dear colleagues, this was actually the report I wanted to compliment. And I apologize, I looked at my notes. I thought it was in consent. And when something is in consent, then it gets unreported. And I just wanted to acknowledge the great work and the clear presentation that made even a layperson, a non-accountant, understand what the division is doing. So I apologize, and I hope it was not too much of a disruption that I unnecessarily opened up the consent calendar.
Well, It was not. And just, I would like to just thank Vlad again. We have energy and clarity and focus, both in the audit plan and generally in the operations of the audit function. And I'm just very grateful to see the progress that we're making. I see that no other hands raised for comment. So this 2021-2022 audit plan is an action item before the Committee on Audit. Could I have a motion, please?
So move.
Move it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Only committee members may vote. I think this is non-controversial. So is there any objection from any committee member to the approval of this plan? Seeing none, the plan is approved. Madam Chair, that concludes the business of the Audit Committee.
Thank you, Trustee Carney. And thank you again, Vlad.